to Yankees Coast to Coast on the first night of baseball 2025. One of my 5 favorite nights of the year. I want to welcome my dear host and hostess, Mr. Michael Miller. And then we have a guest today. Aside from upside down Phantom of the Opera Kramer over here, we've got the great Sal Cacciatore Bag of Donuts, who's with us today. Sorry, I messed up the last.
Listen, I like the introduction as being world famous rock and roll reporter. As I was telling him before the show started, we have the world famous rock and roll detective, Dice Clay, Ford Fairlane, and we've got the world famous rock and roll reporter, Sal. Nobody can pronounce his last chicken.
Sal, could you please? People have been asking this question for, I've known you, maybe 5 or 6 years?
Decades. It's decades.
Everybody asks me, how do you pronounce the guy's name? I just say, it's Sal. Go ahead.
It's Cirencione, and as an old friend when I worked in Hartford, yes, said to me one time, he goes, your name goes perfectly to the Mickey Mouse theme. Cirrincione, Cirencione.
I love it. I love that. There it is.
You should get one of the guys you interview or bands you interview to sing the Mickey Mouse song with your name in it.
Oh, yeah. If I left it to a coworker or two, they would have them do that.
It's better than them singing Kramer's name, that's for sure. So we should talk about today's game. I wasn't really having that high on my list. And by the way, Adam, it is not the first day of baseball. That was last week in Japan.
That's idiotic. No offense.
The Ginsu commercials.
The idea that they get all dressed up and wearing different types of sponsorship material and uniforms that don't look right. And they just don't look right, and it doesn't make sense to me. I'm glad they go. I think it's fantastic. But the idea that they start a week before while everybody's still in spring, it just feels weird. I don't know. It's me. I totally get it.
No, the Dodgers are wearing uniforms today with gold writing on them.
That's the new thing. That's the World Series. They've been doing this for years. The World Series winner wears a gold, has a gold something to their uniform that they have.
It says Dodgers across it in gold. It's not a little World Series champion thing.
No, but I think what they did
is in gold.
A few years ago, they actually wrapped the color of their uniform, their logo, just a little line of gold around it. Of course, the Dodgers, because they are the Dodgers, they do what they want, do all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyway, enough of this. Sal, welcome. How's it going?
It's going good, thank you. Yes, baseball is here in the Eastern time zone and the Central and Mountain and Western time zones. I don't know what you call the time zone in Japan, but it's nice.
What about Hawaii? Does Hawaii get baseball too? Maybe Guam?
They're playing later. I love it. That is great. So Sal, just for those of you who don't know, Sal and I play in the same baseball team, the Riverdale Yankees. We start our season on the 6th, so we're excited about that. The Old Farts League, over 75 team that we're very excited to be starting. First year. And we also played at fantasy camp a lot of the years. Lots of years. And then we played against each other.
And Monterey. Don't forget our Monterey excursion.
That's right.
Monterey. All three of us were teammates, yes. And that was a good time.
That is a good time. So we were really excited to have you on because we have nothing to talk about anymore. We're bored. It's like an ugly married couple. Been married 75 years, have nothing to say anymore. Basically, yeah, and that's it. So you're here to save us from.
We needed a threesome to spice up our show.
There you go. Well, it's interesting. One of my primary job is to provide news on classic rock musicians, artists to classic rock radio stations around the country. And every year, there a lot of musicians are sports fans, and one of the biggest when it comes to baseball is Geddy Lee from the band Rush. So
but he's a Blue Jays fan.
Well, he is, but he is a diehard baseball fan. I mean, this guy lives and dies by box scores, and he's really into it full, just like you guys are, knows every little knows the players, knows who's doing what, really follows it. And so I'm hoping to speak to him in the next week or so to get his take on, what's how he sees the season playing out. And Toronto, they're not a bad team. I mean, yes, that's who he roots for. Matter of fact, until they reconfigured the Rogers Center, I think this is now the second year of the new reconfiguration. You'd always see him sitting behind home plate. He's always got the third or fourth row. If you're looking at the TV, he's right off to your left.
Yeah, sits in the same seat Mary Hart sits in for the.
Yeah, no, Mary's in the front row as I'm looking at right now. So no,
At least Larry King is no longer sitting in the front row. We don't have to stare at him.
Larry
Well,
is no
I have a
longer
question
there.
for Geddy Lee. When you do talk to him about baseball, ask him what he thinks is going to happen with Vlad Jr. And secondly, along the same lines, is how do they get so much sound out of three guys? I mean, it's amazing what that band can do. I saw them at the Garden when I was a senior, I think, in high school. It's amazing what they can do. And then lastly, if you could ask him how he gets his voice so high, or do I not really want to know the answer to that? But yeah, it's amazing. They're an amazing band. Amazing band.
Yeah, well, starting with Guerrero, I spoke to him last year during the season, and he firmly said there was no way they were going to trade him, knowing that he'd be going into his free agent year last year. And I would imagine that's what he still feels now. I mean, he is the cornerstone of that team, him and Bochette. So we'll see what happens, but both are going to be free agents at the end of the year. So, Toronto's not a small market.
It's entire Canada, the 51st state.
that's happening. That's going to happen.
Jeez, I'm telling you, what's the name of the movie where the United States goes to war with Canada? What is that? There's a movie.
Is it World War X or something?
No, I forgot what it is. It's a Second City, or what was the one from the Canadian Second City version? It was
so it was a comedy.
Oh, it was very much a comedy. It was a farce.
Not in our current world. That is
reality is now matching comedy movies.
Right.
We'll look it up while
Exactly.
we continue the conversation. But yeah.
Well, yeah. So I haven't, like I said, I haven't spoken to him yet, but I think he'd say if look, the Blue Jays stay healthy. Obviously, they are missing some key parts. But they can be competitive. So you never know.
Yeah. So you have a couple of things. You have Canadian Bacon, which was the movie about that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a Michael Moore movie with John Candy and Alan Alda and Rhea Perlman. That's the movie I'm thinking of, just so you know. So we were at war with Canada. It was called Canadian Bacon. But yeah, what'd you think of today's game? Sal, did you watch?
Yeah, I did watch a Yankees game. Unfortunately, we lived and died by the home runs today. Both teams actually. But hey, it's the first game. 161 more to go. Thank God the sun was out for most of the until some shadows crept in. So that was nice to see. But overall, okay. Rodon did very well. What did he do? 5 1/4 innings. Of course, that third inning came around and he gave up the home run, then a single right after, and here we go again, the annual third inning implosion. But he held on, so that was good to see. And it was interesting with Williams closing it out. I joked offline to you guys, may have saw it before. If he had blown the save, was he going to shave the beard then for the next game?
I think the whole team would have had to shave their beards if that would have happened. I mean, that's what would have happened. Yeah, I mean, Rodon. What I was impressed with more than anything else with Rodon is, he got through 5 innings and it was about 70 pitches, but then he threw 17 to get through the next 1/3 of an inning, so ended up at 89 pitches. But that's the biggest problem that I have with him is he forever throws so many pitches just to get through 5 innings. And, he's a 5 inning pitcher because that's how long it takes him to throw 100 pitches. It used to be guys would throw, 100 pitches and be into the 8th inning. But
yeah.
And as Adam wrote earlier today, we'll see if he goes on the IL. Girardi said what I was thinking was, after he made that interesting little not touching first base play, his velocity dropped from 96 to 92 on the fastball. Yeah. And then he threw 196 and it flew over everybody's head about an inning and a half or 2 innings later. But it's going to be interesting to see, as Adam said, he's going to go on the IL with a broken ass.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what always worries me. This guy, the step was awkward, so that always worries. You got.
It wasn't even a step. He didn't put his foot down. It was almost like he was afraid it was going to get stepped on, so he decided not to step on the base.
Yeah,
Which is not a bad decision, quite frankly.
Well,
I still think I think that was Goldschmidt's problem. He should have taken it himself.
Yeah, that's here we go again. It's like, guys, what is it? You've got these Gold Glove first basemen who are forgetting how to run to the bag.
Well,
So
he wanted to reward the effort because Rodon actually went over and covered.
yeah. So I thought I loved what I saw in Rodon. I thought it was great early on. He had a strike, he had 7 Ks, 2 walks. Five hits altogether. I didn't really have a problem with anything. I would have liked to see him go a full 6. That would have been nice, not to go the 5 and the 4th, as Sal just told us. Never heard of him going 5 and a 4th of it, but that's okay. 5 and a quarter. That's okay.
5 and a quarter.
So I'm really
pleased. Strike to the next batter. That's 5 and a quarter.
Yeah, there it is. So I think it was good. I think the great move was the Tim Hill move, bringing him in at that moment, getting a couple of ground balls. Just I love that. I love that sequence. I love going lefty to lefty again because he's got a lefty to face. He brings him in. He looks excellent. And I thought their bullpen won the game for them today, even though I didn't think Devin was that strong at all. First of all, you know what was wrong with Devin today? Did you notice he didn't throw a fastball? Where's his fastball?
He doesn't throw.
He doesn't throw a fastball at all.
He's the Tommy Canley of relief pitchers.
That's interesting. I thought he had a fastball. I knew he had great. He had the wind bender or whatever they call it, but
airbender.
But no fastball.
He does. He has a fastball. He just didn't throw very many of them.
He didn't throw it today.
No, I mean, look at Tommy Canley. He was a 92 to 95 fastball pitcher, but the Yankees had him throw what did he throw, like 40 straight changeups in the playoffs last year?
Yeah, and they didn't touch it, which is
so maybe they're going to do the same thing with Williams, but
no, I think today he didn't seem to have it. I think he felt he tried early, didn't see it. He threw it a little bit high a couple of times, and then it was like, forget it, I'm off. And they couldn't touch his stuff. I mean, it was fine. Here's the problem: when you're a stuff guy like that, when you've got like a trick, and you're playing your team first game, it's definitely not the full advantage that you'd get from a guy. Let's just say who was throwing against Toronto today.
I was a little distracted. I thought you were talking about turning a trick, and I went into a different direction.
Yeah, well, yeah, they know his stuff, basically. Yes,
they know his stuff. So
they know his stuff. And last year, the Mets said that they knew what was coming because he was tipping his pitches. So hopefully the Yankees figured that out. But yeah, they know his stuff, and he's going to be fine. As I wrote in the shave his beard, the only guy who goes 99 saves out of 100 without having, breaking a sweat is Rivera. Everybody else in baseball, a third to a half of the times that they come in to get a save, there's base runners. Right. Most of these guys have whips over, well over 1, and Rivera's whip was well under 1. So, you're going to pitch 1 inning. I just don't like that tightrope. Hopefully, it's less of a tightrope than Holmes.
It won't be like that. I just can't believe it. I just think he had he had some location problem today, and also I don't think he had his fastball. So it was really just showing off what they knew was coming, and they still couldn't hit it well. They didn't touch it really. They didn't hit it hard. No. Maybe the line drive, center field. Was there a line drive to center or to the left?
Well, the home run. You're talking about Williams. I'm sorry, I was talking about Rodon. Yeah, they hit one ball hard against Williams.
That was it, but nothing else was hard. Yeah. And how about the Leiter? Leiter looked great, striking out a couple. Luke,
the best he looked as a Yankee.
Yeah.
So now we just have to hope it continues.
I agree. And then the bullpen is going to be their strength. Let's call it like it is.
And Weaver was Weaver.
Yeah. Nothing wrong there. I'm with you, Sal. They won by the home run again, but then they did have that good 7th or 8th inning, whatever it was, where they sort of stole a couple.
That was nice to see.
Well, Judge's ball off the bag, yeah.
That's not happening normally. So that's a great thing.
They
But
probably would have got 2 runs on that ball if it would have gone down the line. Hitting the bag actually probably cost them a run on the Judge double.
no, if it doesn't hit the bag, he catches it. It wasn't hit that hard. He was right there.
I
He
don't
was
know. I
right
think
on the line.
I am down the line, but whatever. And we did see Jazz make the big thing to me is Jazz made it definitely one play. The second play he made when the guy was stealing and he went back to his left to get it. He absolutely was a play Torres never would have made. And
Not even close.
in the first inning, there was another one that Torres might have made, but I don't know because Torres's arm isn't as good as Jazz's throws. I mean, and some of those soft ground balls where they tried to turn two, watching Jazz turn the double play, making that throw is amazing.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Now they didn't get them because these guys are so good. They're so fast.
Well, they run.
You know, but I just was. It was so nice to see a real that combination. They're going to be great. They're going to be great. Oh, we got a friend. We got Joe Asti Spumanti sent us a wonderful little message.
Well, let's let Joe in right now. We'll go quick.
Yeah, because he's asking about
the game. Here's Dr. Joe Asti.
Hi, guys, and Sal.
Hey, Joe,
I think it was a really good idea that Wells was leading off. He looked really good in the leadoff spot, even though, he is a catcher, and there was a lot of debate about that. And I think Rice is having a great approach, too. That line drive off the wall was outstanding. Now we just got to get Dominguez. Unfortunately, he was hit for with Grissom, which I wish he was batting right-handed.
Yeah, well, Grisham,
that was stupid.
Didn't Grisham come in for defense and then batted once and got a single?
No, he came in to hit, and then he went in for defense. He came in as a pinch hitter, which I thought was a terrible idea.
They pinch hit for Dominguez when Dominguez was going to get a chance to bat left-handed?
Yeah, I think so.
That's stupid.
Or maybe you're right. Maybe it was
he came in for defense and then he got an at-bat. Because it doesn't say, looking at the box score, it doesn't say pinch hit. It just says he came in and went in.
Yeah, that's a mistake. I agree. I didn't think that was good for his confidence. They should have let him hit that situation.
Well, no, he didn't pinch hit for him. He just came in for defense and then ended up getting
an at-bat. But you put him in too early. You put him in the 8th. You don't put, or in the 9th. You don't need to put him in when you know he's got an at-bat coming up. That's dumb. You wait. You give him the benefit. Put him in the 9th. You're up you're up by a runner. So, give him an opportunity.
Hey, he had a better day than Chiriot, who struck out 5 times swinging.
Ooh, the platinum sombrero.
That was beyond platinum. It was, oh my God.
Wow.
Golden, I guess it is platinum. Golden is 4, right? And 5 is a platinum sombrero. That was amazing. But, I'm sure Chirino's still going to be a 30-30 guy.
Yeah. But, all right. So I agree. I think Wells. What do you think about Wells leading off, Sal?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I watched him for a couple of years down with the Somerset Patriots, and they just never, usually you got somebody who's up there who's pretty speedy, but the reality of the situation is he probably only leads off the one time. That's it, to start the game. Is, probably not going to, it's the odds aren't always there that he's going to lead off every time he's up at bat.
Of course.
So, right.
Yeah, but it was nice to see him actually, right from the start get a nice hit because last year, he struggled. I think he went 3 for 30 something in his first however many games.
Yep.
So that had to be a good confidence booster, especially with the glare of the light shining down that you're the leadoff batter on opening day.
He's actually the leadoff batter on opening day for all of baseball as far as the United States start. He's also the first Yankee catcher to bat leadoff on opening day, and the first catcher in the history of baseball to bat leadoff and hit a home run.
That was amazing.
Which is pretty cool. The only thing cooler is Tyler O'Neill hit another homer for the 6th straight.
What the hell is that? Where does that come?
But everybody's going to pick him up for opening day, and then whatever. But the Orioles won 12-2. But yeah, I think I wrote this to you guys in one of my narratives as encyclopedia text. The Yankees aren't going to run in front of Judge anyhow. So there's no sense having like a Volpe who might be a 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 homer guy who can steal 40 bases batting in front of Judge because they're just not going to run. The most important thing for the guys in front of Judge is to have an on-base percentage that's in the 350 range so that there's more guys on base. that's why I think Judge should be batting third, but the Yankees don't necessarily have two guys that are going to have a 350 on base percentage. The difference in each batting spot in the batting order, and I read this just recently, is about 35 at bats in a season. So the guy who bats second will get 35 less at bats, plate appearances than the guy who bats leadoff. So if Judge is moving from second to third, he loses 35 plate appearances. I would give up those 35 plate appearances if I knew I had two guys that were going to get on base in front of him at a 350 clip. Or alternatively, in the old days, if you had a guy batting ninth that had a good on-base percentage, or that you knew was going to have a good on-base percentage, like when Jeter batted ninth when he came up, and he had a 340 on-base percentage, then yeah, you could bet your best hitter second. I prefer him to bat third. Last year was a different animal with Soto because you had Soto to protect Judge, and that was he's a better hitter than Judge. No offense to anybody. So I didn't mind him batting second last year. But this year, if they were to bat somebody in front of Judge, go lefty, righty, we'll see what happens when they throw a lefty starter. Allegedly, Goldschmidt's the leadoff guy. So that'll be interesting.
That'll be very. I think it's fine. I had a problem. I really would love to have, and I've talked about it ad nauseum here about how I wanted a leadoff. They're not going to do that. They didn't go out and do that this year. They will they regret it? I don't know. But you know what? For the reason that you said, because the Yankees never run behind him. So what's the use of having a guy on base?
Right.
Other than that, he's going to hit a home run. So what you really want is a guy who can get on base. It doesn't necessarily have to be a fast guy. It doesn't have to be Mickey Rivers. It just needs to be somebody who we need to see It would be nice to see a 320 to 350 on base guy.
Well, no, it's got to be closer to 350. 320 is nothing.
Yeah, so you need that, and we'll see. We'll see if he does it. If he doesn't, then they're going to struggle because you're going to have problems with. Judge is going to hit 50 home runs and have 90 RBIs. I mean, do we really need that this year? I mean, they're going to need 120 RBIs from him again because they've lost so much RBI. So they got to have a guy on base in front of him. So we'll see. Let's hope. I think it's a move. It's not a terrible one. It is what it is. They have reality problems.
I think he's going to get on base.
Yeah.
Well, ideally, Volpe would be a leadoff guy, but like I said, they're not going to let the guys run in front of Judge, and they're certainly not going to bunt guys over. What's funny to me is you don't run because you don't want them to walk your best hitter, right? I live out here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Bonds was obviously the guy who's most walked ever, and it didn't matter if there was a guy on first base; they would just walk Bonds anyhow. So a guy stealing second is not the reason that somebody's going to walk Judge. The new strategy is you don't want to pitch to this guy. You just don't pitch to him, no matter what happens. I mean, granted, Buck Showalter walked Bonds with the bases loaded, walked him intentionally with the bases loaded one time when he was managing Arizona. But, it doesn't matter if there's a guy on first base. As long as there's an open base someplace, if you don't want to pitch to Judge, you just walk him. And that's, but I don't think they're going to run because even if the guy's safe at second, God forbid he gets thrown out, you're just giving away an out and a potential RBI for Judge. So having Wells bat leadoff with a guy with a higher on base percentage than, let's say, a Jazz Chisholm or that a Volpe would have is going to give Judge more opportunities to knock runs in. The other thing that I know you wrote about, Adam, is third base. That you would like to see them get a third baseman. There's really nobody that's out there that could have picked up.
But I think they will inevitably. I think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to stick with this. I don't think they're going to stick with it.
It's going to be somebody that shakes free, but it can't be an Arenado because he's not going to hit it. He's a dead pull hitter. So you don't want somebody like that.
No.
And my thinking is that the Yankees are going to have a second baseman who goes 30-30. And other than Ketel Marte in Arizona, there's no other second baseman that's going to be as offensive as Jazz Chisholm is going to be. So having Chisholm bat fifth or sixth with a threesome of Chisholm, Dominguez, Volpe in the 6, 7, 8 hole or the 5, 6, 7 hole means all of a sudden you might get some guys running because those are the three guys that are going to run on the team. And they might actually, if Rice is in that slot down there, if he's going to be a high contact guy, they could put some runners in motion. And then they got to hope that Cabrera can at least hit 250 and play solid defense.
Yeah. All right, so we don't have we really want to stick to the format.
Well, we're going to go over today because we're going to go quick with our predictions, though.
Yeah, but let's talk about our predictions a little bit here and just see
what I'd like to do, since we're going to end up talking about the Yankees the most, is I'd like to start with the NL West, work East, go AL West and work East, then talk wild cards, talk about the teams that are going to make the World Series, who's going to win the World Series, and be done.
Okay.
At some other time, we'll talk about MVP, Cy Young, anything else that's out there. Of course, I picked Kramer for MVP for both the AL and the NL this season. But that's just so let's start. NL West. I think it's the easiest division. NL West. Sally, who do you think is going to win the NL?
Well, obviously the Dodgers are certainly the favorite, and let's see if San Diego can give them a run for their money. But I think it's going to be the Dodgers again. They just seem to solidify this team. I mean, if there's any little chips in the glue, they just fill it right back in. And let's see how this new Japanese pitcher they got picked up was Suzuki. Is that his name? I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. Even if Suzuki isn't any good, they've got Ohtani on the horizon, Kershaw on the horizon. Gonsolin is in there. They've got Bobby Miller in the minors. They've got a lot of arms.
Yeah.
And they fortified the bullpen with Scott and what's the other guy's name?
Kirby Yates.
Thank you, Kirby Yates. That's the guy I was thinking of. I should remember him since he's on my fantasy team. I agree with you. I think it's the Dodgers in the West. Adam?
Oh, come on. It's not even a question. There's no one in the class. The only thing that's a problem is health. If they have problems,
everybody.
That's always the case. But and the thing about them is they've learned, as we've learned, that their starters are their weak link, health-wise. If they get hurt, they lose those guys, then they're going to rely on a great bullpen again. So it's one of those things where they know how to win with a great starting group, and without them, that's pretty scary. So because you got to think that the worst case is going to be most likely injuries to their starters, and if that happens, they're going to still find a way to win. So yeah, Dodgers, class of the league, class of baseball, probably class of the century. It's possible.
So let's go then. And I think the toughest division to pick might be the NL Central, because there's nobody you can really completely eliminate there. What do you think, Adam?
I'm going to go with the Cubs just because they got Tucker. I think Tucker is going to be a major force for them. But I would really love to see some challenge from the Pirates, even though I know the Pirates aren't going to do it. My hope is to see Skeens really go crazy, have a crazy season like he did. He had a great game today, and see what happens there. So, but no, yeah, it's going to be the Cubs all the way. So
yeah, I picked the Cubs too, but I was tossing and turning on that one a little bit because of the Brewers always being good, and then a sleeper team who I don't think is going to be a wild card, but I think they're a sleeper team. Is I think the Reds are going to be much improved. Yeah. I think Francona is a good manager and will help them, but I don't think they're good enough to win the division. Obviously, if people fall flat, but the Brewers are always hard to pick against. But I did pick the Cubs, and I did pick the Cubs because I think picking up Tucker and fortifying their bullpen, I think Ryan Presley is going to come back and be a really good closer for them. I think that makes a huge difference. What about you, Mr. Sal?
Yeah, I like the Cubs, but there's something about the Brewers that I like, so it's going to be interesting to see how much losing Williams is going to hurt them. I mean, they came so close last year. I mean, we're talking, top of the ninth inning here. And also, I'm pulling for the Brewers a little bit because they hired one of our friends at Fantasy Camp as their hitting coach, Al LaBouffe, which is a great story if anybody wants to log.
What's the story on Al LaBouffe?
Well, Al was a player, and I don't have all the facts in front of me, but just to kind of sum it up, he was afflicted with some sort of muscular affliction that they didn't give him a very long chance to survive, but he's beat the odds, and he's been in the Brewer system for a number of years, was a minor league coach down in Nashville, and as he told me this past year at Fantasy Camp, I went over to congratulate him. He says, he goes, I was kind of starting to sort of lay it out to maybe start to think about retiring, and I finally got the call from the big club. So he was at Yankee Stadium today, obviously, and it's a great story. You should look it up. And so for him alone, I'm rooting for the Brewers, but I like the way they play. I mean, you heard it today in the interview. That was the first baseman they were interviewing, and he says they have, they approach it like almost like kids in a schoolyard. They're having fun out there, and they've got their brand of baseball, as he was saying. And so I wouldn't mind seeing them do well, but I am a Cubs, always like the Cubs as well. But to go back to what Adam said about the Pirates, it's a shame. Pirates have been completely off the landscape of championship baseball since 1979. And growing up in the 70s, I mean, they were the team. Them in Baltimore, in the early part of the 70s, and of course the Oakland A's, and the Reds, those four teams. So I'd like to see the Pirates get some, be able to, compete again.
I have a soft spot. Adam, you probably do as well. Our first fantasy camp that we went to in, what was it, 2004? Adam and I went to our first camp, and Derek Shelton was the man who ran camp. He was, Lenny does it now, and you had a little, whatever that guy's name was, but
Dave.
Little Dave, not little Dave DeMayo, but little Dave, who was Dave DeMayo's taller than. But Derek Shelton was the guy who was running fantasy camp.
Well, that explains why his father was part of the camp, because Ron Shelton was a minor leaguer, and he would be one of the assistants on. He was the assistant on my team my first year. Nice guy.
That's not Ron Shelton, the movie, is it? No. Bull Durham movie. He didn't write that, did he?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
One of the better divisions. You got the NL East.
Okay.
Sally, we'll let you lead us off on that one.
Well, as long as Acuna stays healthy, the Braves got as good a shot as anybody, and they need to, they need to get the monkey off their back, and not in terms of making the playoffs, but in terms of winning this whole thing. I do like them, but the Phillies are a great team, and you can't discount the Mets. I know the Mets are lacking pitching this year, but the season, obviously we're only a day in, so let's see who's going to cough it up come the midway point, and if any pitchers are going to be available, and Cohen's going to be on the hunt for somebody, and Stearns is pretty crafty with some of these people that he brings in. I don't think that Manaea, no, what's the guy that was the Yankee?
Montas?
Yeah, Montas. I'm sorry. I don't think he's the answer this year, but a lot of people didn't think the lineup that he put together last year was the answer, and look where they went. So I don't think we're going to hear any of that talk of the Mets are out of it come May or June this year. I think they're going to compete, but I think the Braves are the by a nose over the Phillies. I mean, Phillies and the Braves are going to be down to the wire.
I see. I think the Braves are actually going to be safer than that. I went back and forth with the Braves and Phillies. I started thinking about it, and I was like, wait, Acuna Jr., Riley, Albies, and Michael Harris all missed 50 games or more last year. Yeah, Spencer Strider made 2 starts last year, and he's coming back faster than they thought. He'll come back in May. They're all going to come back, and really the only guy they lost is, I don't even know who they lost. And there's Jurickson Profar, although he got hurt. He's on the team now, too. I think the Braves are a really strong team. I think they do have some challenges in the starting pitching and in the bullpen, but I think their lineup is relentless, especially, again, with all the guys that missed the games last year. Mr. Adam?
Yeah, I think that I actually wrote down the Phillies, but I've been thinking about it more and more, and I've been crossing it out. If there's a game separating them, I won't be surprised. But I'm with you now. I'm thinking you've got me convinced that the Braves are healthy finally and getting those guys back. And they barely blew it. They were winning. They were in the season all the way through, even with that devastating loss. So I think Acuna is key. I think that's going to be a change in my vote to the Braves, thanks to the two. Thank you.
Well, Sal, look at this, Sal. We're just fantastic. We got to convince Adam to play baseball differently if we can do this as well. So now we'll go to the AL West. So Sal, when you guys need lineup changes next year, we'll get you on the show and we'll talk to Adam about making lineup changes on that team you guys are playing on. So the AL West, which is another, I think, interesting division. I'm going to go first since I haven't gone first yet, and I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers. I just think, last year they struggled a little bit. Guys didn't have as good as seasons. I don't think it was a World Series hangover. I just don't believe in that. But I also do believe that Bruce Bochy is the every other year manager that he is, like he was with the Giants. And I also think, you know what? I believe in Jacob deGrom. So I think that at the top of the rotation with Nathan Eovaldi and all these other guys, I think that they're going to be good. And I like Texas in the West.
Right.
Sal?
But there's the big if with deGrom. If
Yeah,
deGrom stays healthy,
yeah,
he's got to stay healthy. He's got to get past mid-June, because that's always when it starts to go awry and things happen. And then by July he's on the IL, and then by the end of August they say, well, let's just rest him the rest of the year, and then they're out of it. So they need him this year.
How smart do the Mets look letting him walk? They didn't want. I mean,
it took a lot of heat for that.
We talked about starting pitching in some of our texts, and my belief is the market for starting pitchers is really odd, because there is no depth in games for these guys. They don't go for more than 5-6 innings. I really think that one of the reasons the Mets did not go out into the market is I think that they are the team that's going to switch the market. Even when they went out for Scherzer and Verlander, they only went with 2- and 3-year deals for those guys, even though they were outrageous prices. But they're out from under those deals already.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas
guys like the Yankees,
these guys with these long-term deals, you're stuck with them. Yankees did the right thing, I think, with Cole. They called his bluff and didn't add another year. But they're stuck now with a long-term deal for Rodon, a long-term deal for Fried, and a long-term deal for Cole, and he's already missing this season. So I think that the starting pitching idea that the Mets are going to lead the charge. I think they're going to offer like 3 years and 120 to these guys, and 3 years and 150 to these guys, and they're going to blow people away in the annual salaries, but they're not going to blow them away in length of contracts. It's going to be interesting if the players will go for it. I think a team needs to come out and say that. Otherwise, if every team does it, the players are going to cry collusion. But it'll be hard to cry collusion when pitchers are being offered 3 years and $120 million.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think if you can if teams can get a couple of good inning eaters, you can start an innings eater and bring the next guy in the fifth or sixth, and go from there and just chip away. I really think that we're starting to see the end of the era of the high-priced starting pitcher.
I agree, because some of the guys who throw 90, it's ridiculous. So, Adam, did we get to you with the AL West?
No, I mean, I'm going to throw in a wrench. I'm going to give the Mariners a shot this year because I like their pitching. I think that division could be won with a really, really stellar staff. So I'm going to say that they might do it this year, though. I agree. I think the Rangers are solid, very good team. They could go back to after winning it all, and if DeGrom is back and throwing, hopefully not throwing 100 anymore, he should just learn to throw 95, and maybe that'll help him out a little bit. Keep that. He's not a big guy. It would be nice to see it, but I keep thinking this might be the Mariners' year. I just think it would be nice if they get just a little offense out of that team. They just never get very. The ballpark. It's like playing in Yellowstone Park, and they just can't seem to mount a really strong offensive team. It's just amazing how great they used to be at that, but they were always so offensive. They never had pitching. Now they've got pitching.
They got to figure out how to trade Ken Phelps for Jay Buhner. That'll help.
They need. Buhner's probably the only man who can get a ball out of that ballpark regularly. So, but that's.
Junior did okay. Well, it's a new ballpark, so I guess neither one of them.
They weren't there. Most of those guys weren't there.
Still called Safeco? I have no idea.
No, I think it changed like 9 times.
Oh. To Adam's point, the Mariners were 21st in runs scored last year, and who was I with? It was one of the guys at Yankees camp this year. Oh, I can't remember his name, but he's lives in Los Angeles, but he's a Mariners fan. He grew up in Seattle, and he was just PO'd that they didn't pick up anybody, literally nobody, for the offense.
Yeah.
So,
well, they were smart enough to take what was it, Jared Kalanick or whatever his name is from the Mets, and spun him real quickly to the Braves for more pitching. So I mean, They're a well run organization from that
They're
perspective.
well run.
They
They
do a good
see
job
the
of playing
value
for
of really good vision in that place. Sorry,
They
they
play to
really
the
see
value
the
of
value.
the score. Something that I think that the Giants do as well, pretty good most times. So, all right, AL Central, Adam.
I am looking at this is going to be the fun one for me. I love the Tigers. I would love to see the Tigers have this crazy, good, surprising year and do wonderfully and win and surprise the world and win there. So and see the Tigers go far. Don't you love the two best pitchers in the world are named Scooble and Skeens? Just love it. It tickles. It
You're not
tickles.
going to put Crochet up there with those guys.
No, not yet. Not yet. Crochet is a nice name though. It is funny.
Okay.
But no, I'm gonna go. I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say the Tigers win it with 88 wins this year.
All right.
Because that division is strong now, and they're going to kick. They're gonna kick each other's asses all over the season. So the only one, obviously, the White Sox are going to lose another 120 games. So they
Well,
still have.
I think those the really poor teams in baseball, the White Sox, the Rockies, and to a great extent the Angels, are teams that are going to inflate the rest of their divisions teams records,
Mhm.
and that's going to have a huge impact on the wild card situation. What do you think in the AL Central, Mister Sally?
Well, if the Tigers can build on that momentum that they, when they started motoring, no pun intended for the Motor City, the last 6 weeks of the year last year, if they can build upon that, yeah, they got a shot. I mean, the Royals are the team to beat in that division right now, but yeah, I mean, I like Detroit. Um, do a lot of business there through my broadcasting, and not so much in Kansas City. So I'm gonna root for. I'm gonna
You
pull for
want-
Detroit.
in other words, you're making a pick for a free meal someplace. Is that what you
Right.
do?
Exactly. And
I,
did you
I
know? Did you
actually,
notice
yeah,
Torres had the beard today?
I'm actually picking Kansas City, which I think is a safer pick. But I can't trust a team that has Javi Baez and Gleyber Torres as their middle infield.
That's so
I mean, you talk about
scary. That's,
it's a
I mean,
scary
they're going to
part.
make an error at a terrible time in an amazingly important moment.
Yeah,
Glaber's going to drop a ball.
I don't. There's something about Detroit that, yeah, I think they're an up and coming team. I think they're missing something, and I don't know what it is, but they're missing something in my eyes. And I like Kansas City for a lot of reasons. Although I am a little disappointed. One of my favorite players, because I listen to him on MLB radio all the time. His name is as hard to say as Sal's. Pescarini, whatever, the first baseman. He's a fun guy to listen to.
Mm.
And Kansas City is the team I'm picking there. And now
Okay.
we finally get around to the AL East. Mr. Sal.
Well, um, you know, I don't think the Yankees are the lock. Um, I didn't think they were a lock last year, but they played well and they had Soto. I think we might feel that. I mean, I hope Goldschmidt delivers, and I like Bellinger. But we've done this dance now a number of times with these, Rizzo. We brought in Rizzo. We bring in these, guys that were really good at one time, but then when they get here, it's who's the other guy we brought in? Carpenter that time. Although he had a couple of good games
Well,
for the
also
They've
Yankees.
done
got
this a
DJ
lot. They brought
years
in
and
Holiday. They brought in a lot of these guys who were great at
Yeah,
the other time.
yeah, well, they tried to get the strawberry fielder Tim Raines triumvirate type of bringing guys in, David Justice type of guy bringing in by bringing in these guys, and they just haven't hit on them like they have in the past, and that's why I think that's it. So, who do you think's going to win the division, Mr. Sal?
I think Boston's going to make a run for it. I think it's going to. I mean, getting Bregman, which I know I wanted for the Yankees. I know you disagreed with me, Mike. Well, we over the years, I think you were okay if we got him for 3, but not 5.
Yeah.
But I still think he has something in the tank. I know he's slowed a little bit, but they all have. So
I
yeah,
think
I think Boston's going to contend.
Bregman brings something to the table the Yankees need desperately, and that's a sense of urgency and a sense of red ass, I guess I would call it. Even though he's not exactly a redneck, red ass type of guy, but his style of play, grind it out, dirty. I'm going to do what I can to win, and I don't mean bang on the garbage cans. I think
Right.
he brings that. I don't think his skill set wasn't good for Yankee Stadium, but his mindset is exactly what every single team in baseball needs. I think, I think Altuve is the same thing. There was just a bunch of guys like that on the Astros that just want to beat the crap out of you no matter what happens. And Bregman fits that perfectly. And
Yeah.
that's why he's actually, between him and assuming Crochet doesn't get hurt pitching all these innings, I'm picking the Red Sox to win the division as well. I think their offense with Cassis and Devers going to DH, they got some good young players in the lineup. Big questions about their bullpen, but I think with their offense, I think their starting rotation's a little iffy. But I think that there's something about the Red Sox this year that I think is right. My friend Todd Goober, who is a lifelong Red Sox fan, thinks I'm crazy.
Well, I think
all
Red
Red
Sox fans, they're a lot like Mets fans. They've been through so much heartache that they find it difficult to believe that they can actually
They won 3 World
do
Series
so
in
well.
15 years. Shut up.
They have, yeah, no.
Shut up, Red Sox. Adam, what do you think in the East?
I think that the Yankees are going to surprise us. I think they're going to. I'm going to tell you what's key to the Yankees season this year. It's their farm. It's their farm system. Yes, and Crane. Sorry, it's their farm system and Crane. I think they need if they have a really good farm system this year, and everybody comes together, has some, and they have some growth there instead of the regression that we saw last year, maybe a little bit the year before. They'll be able to make some pickups mid-season that's gonna make them somewhat valuable, because they'll be able to maybe save the day with some offense that they're going to be lacking here. I'm not as worried about the pitching as everybody else is, because I never thought that starting was as important, because their bullpen is so good. If their bullpen can get healthy, stay healthy, if they're going to be fine. I think the Yankees will win 90 games this year. I think 90 games could win that division, because those teams are all going to be, again, like we said, like it happens, they beat the hell out of it.
92 wins will definitely win the division. 90 could definitely win the division as well.
So I think because of how good the Orioles are, because I think the Orioles are going to have a great year this year, because I think they didn't do anything, but they're also they didn't get as much growth out of their youth last year that they should, and they've got a farm system that if they need to go do what they need to do in the midseason, like we thought they were going to last year, this year they may not be able to get away with that. They will make that move that they didn't last year. So I think you got the Orioles, the Yankees, and the Red Sox.
They made the move for Burns before last season. The question is they let Burns walk and didn't replace him. And then Grayson, what's his name? Grayson, whatever his last name is he's out for the year, right? So
yeah, I think you're gonna have a great year from Henderson. I think you're gonna have we'll
see. The Gunnar Henderson injury that he's got, it's the injury Henderson had is a lingering type of injury. They don't want to call it an oblique; they're calling it something else, but it's an interesting injury. He tried to come back, and they had to shut him down, and all sorts of stuff. But I do agree that
going back, I think the Yankees win it with 90, but mostly because of the Orioles and the Red Sox strength. I think that division is going to be very tight, and the Yankees could pull it out if they can make a move that supplements that the team in a way that we don't usually see.
I think if they get the seasons out of Goldschmidt and Bellinger that they had last year, and get improvement from Volpe to get to be a 340 on base guy, and Dominguez can go 20-20, which is definitely within his capabilities.
Yeah,
I think the move the Yankees need to make is in May, and it's for Sandy Alcantara. Get the horse.
Yep.
If he's
by
healthy,
the way, apparently looked very good today. I didn't
what?
see how did he look today?
I didn't look, but I can.
He played.
I don't think they played
today. No, they did. They played very well. It was him against. I think he played. It was him against Skubal today. Skiing. Sorry. Here I go again.
It was a 5-4. 5-4. The Marlins won 5-4.
So how did he look?
Alcantara threw 4 2/3, allowed 2 runs, walked 4, and struck out 7. Whereas Skeens threw 5 innings, struck out 7, and walked 2. But Alcantara threw 91 pitches his first game back, only 57 for strikes, which is unlike him. So we'll see what happens. But if he's healthy, it's the guy I make the play for, and I'd be willing to give up either Dominguez or Jones and give up Lombard Jr. or Arias, and then give them something else if there's something else that they want.
They're not going to give up a necessary batting order piece to get a better pitcher.
That's what I'm saying is that giving up a necessary piece. I'm giving up. Well, Arias and Lombard are in the minors, so that's not.
That's fine. Those are the guys that are going.
If Jones is performing, if Jones is the guy to give up, they're not giving up anything at the major league level.
Yeah.
And
I mean.
Not only for 25, he's 26 and 27 as well. And you're talking about, going into the rest of this season with him at the top of the rotation and going into the next 3 seasons with a rotation of Alcantara, Cole, Fried, and Rodon as your top 4 starters. I don't care what the Mariners have. I'd take those 4 guys. But Alcantara's the guy that I think they need to make the play for. And you'll see why I think that, because now when we talk about our wild card teams, I in my heart of hearts, I think that the Yankees are going to struggle to make the wild card, but I picked them because I'm a Yankee fan. Because exactly what you said, I think the teams in the AL East are going to beat the crap out of each other. And it may be 90 wins to win, while you've got the teams in the Central beating the crap out of 3 of them beating the crap out of each other, and everybody beating the crap out of the White Sox again. They could be worse than last year, the White Sox. They did nothing to improve, and they're likely to trade Luis Robert during this season if he shows that he's healthy. The Sox could lose 140 games. That's how bad they are. The AL West, the Angels stink. The Angels stink.
Yeah, the bad team.
The A's are better, but the Angels stink. And the teams in the West are going to beat the crap out of them. So I think the Central has a chance to really put 2 wild cards in there. But I picked as my wild card teams Cleveland, the Yankees, and the Mariners. However, I said it's just as easy that the Twins would come in and replace either the Yankees and the Mariners, or the Orioles could come in and replace the Yankees. But the Mariners pitching is why I picked the Mariners. But why I didn't pick them is their offense. But I picked Cleveland, the Yankees, and the Mariners as my 3 wild cards in the American League. Mr. Sal?
Blue Jays as a wild card. I think they're going to surprise.
Getty Lee allegiance. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Forget it.
You just want to have something to talk about. That's
No, I listen to him like I listen to you guys. You guys know all this stuff.
But you need to get better friends. That's what I got to say.
Definitely need better friends.
So, and I'll go with Kansas City since I already picked Detroit, and so I'll go with Kansas City there. And in the West, yeah, I'm gonna go with Seattle. Like I said, if Texas stays healthy, they win the division, and Seattle knows they have something to prove, even though they didn't bolster the offense by any stretch. I think they'll pull it together and make a run for that wild card.
Mr. Adam, what do you think in the AL wild card?
I think Orioles, Guardians, and Red Sox in the wild card. Those 3, because again, I think the Yankees can pull it out. And emotional. I'm with it. I feel like they had a great offseason, and it breaks my heart that they broke down, and I think and I'm going to go on the record right now saying that spring training should be 10 days long.
You've been on the record. Been on the record the last 3 shows with that one.
I'm sick of spring training. Should not be 6 weeks. It should be 10 days long. They'll all appreciate it. They'll agree. I bet if you ask the players how long it should be, they'll say 10 days long is perfect. It's all we need. So we need to do that. That needs to be in the new CBA.
Well,
they'll never do it because of the money.
Pitchers are never going to pitch even 5 innings for the first month of the season.
What was
that's
that?
the problem.
Starting pitching will never pitch 5 innings for the whole first month of the season.
Yeah.
Do that. That's the biggest thing.
They don't do that anymore.
With regard to the hitters, I agree with you 100%. The starting pitching is going to be the challenge.
That's right. But so I go Orioles, Guardians, and Red Sox because I love the Guardians. They're to me, the Guardians are similar to the team we played today. Guardians scare the shit out of me. Scare the heck out of me because I think that
they scared the crane out of you. What'd you say?
Yeah, the crane. I just love the way they play. I love Quan. I wish the Yankees had 3 Quans, and that to me just would be that's a great team. And somehow they find a way to pull it out. So they have a modest amount of health. They're going to be okay. They could have a great season.
You're forgetting the most important thing about the Guardians. Joe Osty is their pitching coach.
That is correct, sir.
I mean,
Ver-
he is Osty's twin, their pitching coach.
Amazing. It's amazing how much they look alike. So, all right.
Old to be his father, though. Isn't Osty 174 years old?
A little bit older, a little longer in the tooth. So, all right.
NL wildcards, Adam. Let's see. What do you got for the NL wildcards?
Oh man, you're making me go back to new things here. I'd
What-
say
We're
I'm
gonna-
looking. Oh, where would I write this down?
All right, Sal, you go first while Adam figures
Yeah,
out what.
please. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sal.
Yeah, in the East, I'll go with the Mets. I just think they'll find lightning in a bottle again, and again, I think Cohen and Stearns will bolster that lineup somehow as this year goes on. Brewers, I go with in the Central. I was on the no, I'm sorry, I picked them to win. The Brewer. Did I pick them? I was rooting for them. Who did I pick? I picked the
Cubs. You picked the Cubs, but you rooted for the Brewers.
Yeah, so Brewers, yeah, I got to go with them. And I think out west, San Diego, if they can get out of their own way and stay healthy, I think they got a good shot.
So my situation is very similar as what I said in the East. I think that the Rockies are awful. They're going to lose 110, 115 games. And the Marlins are awful, especially if they trade Alcantara. They're going to lose 110 games, which means the teams in the NL East and the NL West are going to, they played 13 times? They're all going to have 10 wins against them. And the Central doesn't really have a weak sister. So those teams are going to beat the crap out of each other the way the AL East is going to beat the crap out of each other. Yeah. And that division's probably going to take less wins to win. And I have Arizona because I think their pitching is fantastic. And Corbin Carroll, if he doesn't have a bad start, is going to be near an MVP candidate. And then I picked Philly because I think they're just that good. And then was the tough choice for me, and I picked San Diego over the Mets. As my third wild card, I picked San Diego because I think that the Rockies are even worse than the Marlins. And that's why I ended up picking two teams from the West as the wild cards. Adam, did you finally figure out your NL wild cards?
Yeah, I mean, I have the Phillies, obviously, because I flip-flopped them with
Braves.
The Braves. But I think the Mets are going to pull it out. I do think the Mets are strong. It breaks my heart because I hate the Mets, as we all know. It's like, painful to me. But, I'm doing some more work with the Mets now. So
you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know.
Why is
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't understand. You never grew up in the middle of it. I grew up in the.
I grew up. What are you talking about? I lived in.
You were way out. You were out in the middle of Nyack. Where
I was around in the early '70s, and I was around in '86 where they were ridiculous fans. Come on, I was around.
I'll say you suffered as much as I do. It ain't happening.
Well,
okay, so I think the Phillies, but I'm gonna give the Mets the credit, and then I'm gonna go with my beloved Pirates. I really want to see the Pirates come in there and win that third wild card. But I know it's gonna be. You're right. I think that the Padres have a good shot, but I wonder, can the Padres stay positive, getting their piece handed to them? In that division, you've got two tough teams. You've got the Diamondbacks, still have a good team, and you've got the Dodgers. They're going to just eat everybody alive. It could be very hard if you don't have a competent team. Plus, they're so financially strapped in San Diego. I wonder if they're going to start if they even.
I know out. That's the biggest issue. Is are they going to deal? So they're going to deal King? Are they going to deal this guy? Are they going to deal that guy? It's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens there in San Diego. All right, Sally, who's in your World Series and who's going to win?
I'm going to go with L.A. and Boston.
So you're going Dodgers and Red Sox. Who's winning?
Yeah, and I think the Red Sox are going to surprise them because the Dodgers are similar to the Padres in one respect. They sometimes can't get out of their own way either. So I think the Red Sox can really surprise. Yep.
All right, Mr. Adam, World Series.
Dodgers in 4 over the Tigers.
Over the Tigers.
I think the Tigers are going to, and I'll tell you why. They're going to ride it like a crazy roller coaster through a series of weird things are going to happen in the playoffs, like last year with the Yankees. and they will have an opportunity to step forward, and they're going to play. They're going to win the division. They're going to win the league next.
Swept by the Dodgers. So
Get swept like embarrassingly, like it'll be like
San Diego
76
against the Yankees,
It'll be 76 Yankees.
or is it be like 76 Yankees, or will it be the Padres against the Yankees in 4? All right. So my World Series, and I hinted at this earlier. My World Series from the AL is going to be the Mariners. I think once they get to the playoffs, their pitching is going to dominate, and that's why I picked them to make the first World Series ever. But I do have them losing to the Dodgers
in 4.
No, I don't know about 4, but I see them losing to the Dodgers. I just think that the Dodgers, they did what the Yankees did. They built a team that's got great depth and very few holes, and good for them. I mean,
all right. What I want to do here, unlike as we sign off here, unlike past years, I want everybody to write down and send a text with their picks, so that we can keep a record and look back and have a show that talks about what we thought was going to happen and laugh about it. It'll be a fun show at the end of the year.
Yeah, and we could even
we're all alive.
To talk about this too is we could ask all the idiots on our text strings to send us their picks, so we can have a little chart and keep it for everybody.
And then a bet, and then maybe buy dinner for somebody. Somebody gets dinner.
Kramer's going to make sure he wins, because anytime there's a free dinner involved, Kramer's going to make sure.
This is a problem. He'll just say, "Wait a minute, I'll pay with a credit card. I'll take the cash. Anybody want cash? I'll pay with a card."
Kramer's like Steve Martin in those commercials with Martin Short. I left my credit card way back in my back pocket. Can you pay for this?
Yes.
All right, boys. Sal, you are great.
Pleasure, and we will have you on again. And despite the fact you think you don't know anything, you can keep up with the 2 clowns that host this stupid show.
Oh, I learned a lot too, so it's very interesting. But yeah.
I like the Geddy Lee story, and then one day we'll get the Ford Fairlane getting stuck in the mall story out of you. But that'll be good too.
That'll be fun. And then the thing about this is, you didn't do it like this guy does. When Kramer comes and does it, he lies down on his bed naked, probably, which is scary.
He covers here on purpose so that we don't see anything.
And then all we see is this huge, like, hairy nostrils the whole show. And then he falls, then he inevitably sort of falls off to the side, falls asleep. And people tell us, did Kramer die in the middle of the show? We've had calls. We did have people send us texts and emails that were concerned about Kramer.
I'm sure he's doing fine. He's adding more and more clients to his law firm. God bless him. So there you go.
1-800-lawyer, that's where you should see some of the commercials here. It's out of control. At least Kramer doesn't have commercials, so that's good.
Well,
all right, boys.
Ones that we don't know about yet.
All right. Take it easy, Sally. Thanks, Adam. Speak to you soon, Sally. See you on the text string.
You got it. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks.